In this video we're talking all things releases, so the 3 different types of releases you need in your full swing, why the releases sort of become a taboo subject, and what you need to work on to help you hit the ball further and straighter. And if you stick around to the end, then I'm going to show you different ways you can work on the 3 different releases and how you can apply that to your games and your shots out on the course. So what even is the release? So the release, in my opinion, is how we transfer the energy out of our body into the club head and into the ball. People generally refer to the release as sort of like wrist action through the ball. The release has definitely become a taboo subject in like modern golf instruction, because we're going through a period at the moment where coaches are encouraging players to get the club face turned down and closed early, and then to try and hold the club face through the hitting zone, with the idea that that might produce a more stable face or help you hit straighter shots and more narrow misses. Don't know why I keep doing this. But really, golf is primarily a hand and arm game, so what we do in our hands and our arms to propel the club through the hitting zone is pretty much vital, so we can't overlook this part of the game. In my opinion, there's 3 types of releases. The first one, which I would call the roll release, is where the club swings down into the ball from quite an open position, and as it swings through, the golfer twists the handle, gets that toe rolling over and hits that position where almost the forearms touch on the other side, where the trail hand wraps over the lead hand. Ian Woosnam's a perfect example of this. He had a really quick release, or quick roll release. That's the kind of release that instructors are trying to teach golfers away from. But Woozy won a few majors doing that, so we can't really say it's wrong. The second sort of release is more of like, I would call like the Hogan release, the underhand sort of like release, where when we swing through, the right hand sort of bows, the left wrist extends. This helps propel the club past your hands but stops the face closing. This is much more of like a Hogan release, where that club face looks back at you through into the follow through instead of twisting over. The idea of that release is that the club face doesn't turn over, so you can still like throw the club through without shutting the face. The face stays fairly square to the arc. The problem with that one is, this is the one that golfers generally do poorly, so where they underhand release it but behind the ball. So they're going to hit it high, the face stays open, and they hit weak cuts. The third release that we're seeing at the moment is like the Victor Hovland, the Dustin Johnson. Those golfers are hanging on to their wrist angles through the ball. It appears on video that they're never letting the club face turn over. Now, that isn't quite true. The club face is turning over. Victor Hovland still has an extremely high rate of closure of the club face through the ball. It's just significantly less than most other players, but it is still turning over. The face still is closing through the strike, but this is the one where generally golfers with super fast swings who don't need the added speed that the release gives you are going to do. When you've got 120 miles an hour clubhead speed, you don't need the extra 3 miles an hour that the roll release might give you, or the underhand release might give you. You can just like hit it hard, feel that flat left wrist, and hopefully that goes a bit straighter. Thanks very much for watching the videos. If you can please like and comment to boost the engagement, and subscribe if you don't already, that'd be great. If you like what I put out in these videos, you like what I say about technique, I can actually help you with your game no matter where you are in the world. So if you just want to click the link in the bio, it'll take you to Skillist, which is an online coaching platform, and there you can look to see what I do, and actually I can help you with your game, so analyze your swing, give you some drills and tips to help you improve, so we can work together to help you lower your handicap. But anyway, let's get back to the video. What we have to view the release as one of the main power sources and face closing part of the swing. So the big thing that amateurs get wrong is that they just mistime the release in ways that they're not releasing the club head and its speed at impact. They're either releasing it too early, which means by the time they get to impact, the handle's back with added loft and we're going to hit weak shots. Or there's golfers that don't release the club enough, where they're pulling in, the club face is never turning over, they're never using the wrists, we've definitely got to a point where golfers are actively trying not to use their wrists, but in my opinion, that's a mistake. I think so much of our control is in this part of the body. If I was going to ask you to throw a ball and you try to just stiff wrist it, you'd have far less control if you just use your wrist and use your arms and just let it go. It's definitely a mistake to try and restrict wrist action. Now, one of the things I think people don't quite understand, and often I see wrong, is people have a misunderstanding of lag. Now, lag is where the club head trails behind the hands in the downswing, but lag is created through good sequencing. This isn't something we're trying to absolutely manually create. It should happen because our lower body's leading our upper body. It's not just a case of swinging up to the top and then holding the club head behind your hands, because if you did that, you're never going to hit it very far and you're always going to hit it out to the right. Where what I see is golfers trying to create lag, they're trying to do it the wrong way, and then they never release the club properly through the ball and they never hit the ball as far as they can. So if I'm a golfer and I want to work on releasing the club better, where do I even start? So first of all, we have to understand is which of the three releases is going to work for our swings the best. So if you're a golfer where on video you're swinging down and the club face is open, where the toe is up or even slightly pointing back, what you need to become a roll releaser, where our lead hand turns over, we get into a position where the trail hand is under, the right hand is on top, as early as possible. So this golfer traditionally is going to be someone who hits it right from that open club face position. And you can see how on that shot face was open and I didn't release it, where if I get into that open position and turn my hands over, I can get that ball turn like hooking. That was a bit heavy mind, but you can sort of see that I can square the face like this. And what that actually does is that gives us a bit more whip at the bottom as well. So that's a great place to start if you're an open face golfer. So that might apply to you if you're a slicer. That might just help you temporarily stop the ball going right. Might start sending it left, hitting it a bit further, turning those fades into pulls. Is a functional thing to do. Now, if you're someone who hits the ball quite low with a shut club face, you need to become an underhand releaser or a Hogan releaser. I much prefer saying Hogan release because it makes me feel good. Where the club face is square, as you come to strike it, this is the skimming the stone release that people talk about, where your right hand goes from bent back to flipped through. And what that's going to do is allow you to hit the ball higher with speed and keep the face square. Face isn't staying square, it's just a feeling that it's staying square. I don't really like saying that because it's not really what's happening, but doing that is going to give me more club head speed. It's going to help me hit the ball high, it's going to help me shallow my angle of attack, it's going to stop me being steep, and I really like that one. If you're a closed face high speed player like DJ now or Hovland, there aren't many of you out there and I doubt that's you, but we can still talk about it. So if you're swinging down and you get that club face angled down early, this is a great place to be. You need to become like a hold releaser, where the club head is square and you're almost opening it as you go through. You're holding it, you're lagging it, and you're going to hold it on the way down. That's not really me. I can't really do that. I don't swing it fast enough. So it's a bit of a funny one to practice. It makes me hit the ball really, really low. I'll put some data on screen. Launch angles down a lot more. You can see that if I do my Hogan release, I launch the ball much higher. I feel like that one helps me keep this face square to the path for a long time, and I feel like I can hit the ball high and straight. It does feel a bit like a bunker shot, but that's okay. The feel isn't wrong, that's how it feels. Sometimes if I need to draw the ball quite a lot or hook the ball around a tree, I'll actually then go to my rollover release, my Ian Woosnam release, where I'm going to like throw my right hand over, get that right palm to turn down on the way through. That's going to help me shut the face, get that ball hooking. You'll be able to see on the full swing data that I put on screen now that those 3 shots produce quite different numbers. For very similar clubhead speeds, we get very different flights. My shut face hold release is very low and straight. My shut face right hand under release makes the ball go very high, and my open to shut release helps me hook the ball quite a lot.
Have a good day.
Enjoy. I think if you are ultimately striving to be like a master at golf, you actually need to work on all 3 releases, because they produce very different shots. Yes, one of those releases is going to match your swing quite well for like your stock swing, but as you play a round of golf, you're going to need probably all 3 of those shots. You've got a low straight ball that you're going to punch out the trees or maybe hit into the wind, chase to a back flag maybe. We've got a high straight flight where the ball, you know, is going to land a lot softer. You can hit that to front pins. You can hit that downwind for extra distance. And then you've got that roll release where it's going to help you get that ball moving left easier. So again, round the trees to a left pin, off a dog leg. It's quite useful to be able to do all those things. So when you go practice, you might want to allocate a block of time into, right, I've got 15 balls. I'm just going to hit 5 balls with each release to see how that manipulates the flights, try it with different clubs, see what works best. And you might find that actually with driver, I need to roll release it to get that ball turning over for extra speed. Or with my irons, I like the Hogan underhand release because that helps me hit the ball high and straight. And with my wedges, I like that block release because that helps me flight it down, helps me get lots of spin. All of these things are okay, and that's generally what I will do. If I'm working on the roll release, what I'm going to do is just some half swings where I'm trying to feel like my forearms are touching on the way through. It's quite hard to roll your wrists enough to get there, but what this does 2 things. It helps you extend your arms and helps you roll the hands, shut the face, and release the club. If you have a chicken wing, this is quite a good little exercise for you to do. Half swings and extend the arms, roll the wrists, and then just hit a few shots like that just to see how that feels and where the ball goes. I'm getting quite a nice little tight draw there. I'm not quite going at full speed, but every single ball's drawing. The face is always closing, so it's good to know. The Hogan release, the underhand release, if I'm working on that, I quite like to do this right trail hand only. Just some half swings, just because it's much easier to feel that underhand, palm facing back position, club face looking back position, right hand only, where that roll release right hand only feels a bit awkward. So just some half swings, right hand only, get a feel for that release, and then set up to the ball, and then just recreate that feeling. That was nice. That shot's producing high launch, maybe a touch of fade. The face isn't ever turning over relative to the path on that release, so it might help you hit that high cut shot. Don't mind that. And then my block release, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit some shots where I feel like the club head is almost never passing my hands. This isn't something I personally would ever do with anything more than like a sand wedge or a gap wedge. Just because like I personally hit the ball low already, so I don't need help hitting it lower, and this just makes me hit it too low for it to be a functional shot into a green unless I've got lots of loft in my hand. So a few half swing rehearsals where I feel like I'm never letting that club pass, and then hit the shot feeling that. So I didn't quite get that one right because that was a bit of a block. It definitely went low. It was quite a good strike, but I probably held it off too much because it started right and stayed right. So hopefully that clears things up in terms of your release. It's good to know the 3 different types of releases. It's good to practice all 3 releases, and it's really important to know which of the 3 releases matches your swing, because that's going to give you more speed, better club face control, longer shots, and better accuracy. If you've enjoyed that video, please go and check out all the other videos I've done on the technique. We've started at the basics in the setup, and we've worked all the way now down to the release, so there's quite a lot out there to go at.